When working with the young horses, it's so often common that you're going to find something that they're going to be spooky about, whether it's a paper bag, an umbrella, balloons, you name it. And I see those as opportunities for a positive to teach them something, to overcome a fear, and to gain their confidence. And as is the case with this little horse, Boogie, he's 4 years old. He is super athletic, super talented, love him to death. His only problem is he gets a little spooky at, weird things. And being that we want to teach him to be, eventually a good family horse, eventually a good kid horse, we've got to do what I call a little brain surgery. We've got to work on his brain a little bit. So I have found, at least in this video, I'm going to show a little bit about something that I've discovered that spooks him, and that is one of those big 50-pound feed bags. And I know you can't hear anything in the video, but there's a ton of wind, which is great. I love that there's a lot of wind because it gives a lot of play to the bag, and it makes it kind of crackly and crinkly. And so here, just to kind of preface this, I do have side reins on him. Some horses, if they're not ready for this, if they're not ready for the feel of the weight in their mouth, it can cause really bad reactions like rearing up, falling over. And so anyways, this is one of those things that I wouldn't recommend if the horse does not understand contact and you just don't know what they would do with that. So in this video, I do have contact with his mouth. For him, it's actually, I find it's a better tool for him to just help keep his head down and relax, because the body language, the body position is connected to the brain. So if you have a horse with I guess you could call it a high-strung brain, or is anxious, if you can almost kind of bypass the system, and I use this word loosely, but force them into a better position, though I'm not really forcing him, I'm encouraging him to stay in a better position physically, then the mentality of relaxation will follow. And so that's what I'm aiming here, is to keep him long and low and relaxed, that he can accept something scary without blowing up. And in order to do that, I start very, very slowly. And in this video, I know you can't see it, but I've already gone ahead and I've just done some lunge work with him, just a little walk, just a little jog, just to get him warmed up. He's thinking forward. There's nothing scary about our work. And so then, we get started with the bag. So let me go ahead and give you an idea of what we're going to be doing. I'm going to talk during this video, but I can't probably say everything that needs to be said in the amount of time that passes in this video. Things happen very quickly. So the clip is a very short, condensed version of what I would do with the actual horse. And as it turns out, I ended up working with Boogie today for probably an hour and 15 minutes, maybe longer. I don't know. I was out there a long time, but this clip is just a snippet of what took place today. So when I'm introducing something new to him that he is obviously worried about or spooky about, I'm going to start with just standing in front of him and letting him look at it, letting him hear it, letting him smell it, and just kind of get an idea of what that is, that it's not a big, fire-breathing dragon that's going to kill him. And then I'm going to start working my way to touching him with it. And the safest place to start that, I think, is always the shoulder. The shoulder, a little bit of the neck, and then I'll move to maybe the front legs, the saddle, maybe the top of his butt. And if you'll notice, this can be dangerous with horses that are super spooky. And so this is one of those things you have to be so careful with. I try to typically stand at his shoulder and no further back. If you're further back, you're at risk of getting a kick. They can really swing their leg up and kick if they wanted to. So just keep those things in mind. You want to keep yourself in a safe position first and foremost. I prefer to stand at the shoulder and try to keep myself there no matter what I'm doing. So yeah, I'm going to start with, working my way, kind of just letting him feel this all over his body and kind of listening, or not really listening, but looking for clues that he's either accepted it or he hasn't. When they start to accept something, they will lower their head. They'll start kind of licking and chewing with their mouth. And that's a good indication that they're starting to, they're okay. They'll take a breath, whatever it is. It wasn't the big fire breathing dragon that they thought it might be. Some defensive signs to look for are they'll kind of cock up a back leg, the back leg that's closest to you. They'll kind of prop up on it. Not to be confused with when they prop up a leg when they're standing, let's say, tied to a tree or tied on the cross ties, and they're just relaxed. They'll kind of prop up that leg. That's a relaxed leg, but this isn't the kind of leg we're talking about. It's a very tense, body tense, their legs propped up, and these are all just instinctual things that a horse will do. They're prey animals. By instinct, they're gonna, think about something's gonna be attacking them. That's just what their instinct is. So our job here is to teach them that, here you are, 21st century domesticated world. There's not gonna be a jaguar that's gonna jump out and attack you. So their most sensitive spots that they're gonna probably be the hardest to desensitize are gonna be the top of their back, because they can't see there and they're vulnerable, and their flank, because if an animal were to rip their flank, there's a bunch of internal organs there that would just kill them. So they're going to be very defensive of those areas. So we're going to take a look at this. We're going to kind of play around with this plastic bag and kind of see what he does, see how we can resolve some of these issues that he's dealing with. So let's get started. All right, so Boogie gets to, he gets a little scratch here, but he gets to smell this bag. Oh, I know, it's kind of scary. And I'm just shaking it around, letting him hear it, let him kind of get a feel for this. And then, if they don't react to something, I'll make my action a little bit bigger to see, just to kind of test them out. So, like I said, I'm going to start with the shoulder and see how he reacts to that. And he really is okay for the most part with this. He's been desensitized with Walmart bags, which is similar, but this thing is a little bit bigger. It's a little more crinklier, if that's a word. Crinklier. So I'm just going to kind of test him out, see what areas are red zones for him. Red zones, I guess we'll say that's something that he doesn't like. And if he has a spot that he doesn't like that I've found, I'll quickly go back to a spot he is okay with. And then I'll go back to a spot that is maybe concerning. And then go back to a spot that isn't so bad. So he's handling this really well so far. The saddle area for him is he's a little bit weird about that. You can see him cocking that back left leg up. That's him being a little bit defensive, but he's really trying. I've had some horses just completely blow up at this point that are just really, really sensitive to everything. And if you'll notice, I have this tied to a lunge whip. I want that lunge whip to be an extension of my hand if I need it to be, that if I need to touch his back leg or something. Yeah, so that was kind of a hot spot, a little red zone for him. He wasn't sure about that. So I'm just going to stick with it, though, because if he gets upset at something and I take it away, then I'm training him to get upset, and getting upset is what takes it away. So I really want him to learn that calming down is what makes this scary thing stop. And so anyways, that lunge line allows me to go and touch his back legs without getting my face kicked in. So yeah, always stay around his shoulder. So again, I went back to his shoulder. He was okay with that. And then I'm going to go get crazy around here on the saddle again. And what I've discovered is that he does not like big, scary flying dragons above his head. Here he's handling it okay. But in my, the next hour that I worked with him, he was a little crazy about that. I don't think we filmed it, though. And what you do to one side, you always, 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 always do to the other side. So again, I'm going to start out on this other side as if it's a whole new side, because that's just how horses operate. It's almost like they have two different brains, And you can work on something on the left, but when you go to the right, it's like completely reteaching them something. Don't ask me. I didn't create them. I just work with them. Now, I'm making a boo-boo here. See how that lunge line is almost in my foot? Yeah, don't do that. I didn't realize my lunge line had almost... I'm stepping on it. There we go. So I'm going to... Yep, just the same things. Kind of wiggling that around. Making it rattle. If he were to blow up at this point... I would go back to doing something he's a little more comfortable with. And by blow up, usually they lunge forward or maybe throw a buck or something. I'm not going to let him just run around crazy around me, because that is reinforcing that it's okay to run around and be crazy. I just want him to be kind of chill. And you'll notice the hind leg kind of cocking up there. He's not so sure. And that's in the wilds, that would be him getting ready to kick something. He's getting all of his weight off of it. He gets a little boogered going to the right, and this is very common with horses. We do so much work with them to the left that it's harder to do things on the right side, which means we need to spend just as much time on this right side. And he handles something kind of scary by shutting down, and he doesn't deal with things very well. He's just kind of mentally shut down in moments. And that's what he does when he's shut down. He just stops, he spins, he looks at you, he doesn't want to deal with it. And that's his way of getting out of it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to keep pressing this with him, that I'm asking him to lunge here. I want him to walk forward and accept that there's something scary right there. Now, I'm being super careful. I'm in a very vulnerable spot right here because he could lunge out and kick if he wanted to. So you have to have all your attention on the horse at this point, because it is a very dangerous place to be. And I cannot, express that enough. But I want him to work through this. For so long, I think he just shuts down with things. He doesn't want to deal with it. Kind of like a human. He doesn't want to deal with things, and he just stops. But I want him to deal with this. I want him to think about it. And if his feet are moving forward, then his brain is moving forward, and he can think and process. So my next little exercise you could do is, it's windy, so I'm just letting this kind of float around on the ground. It's kind of scary. Again, he's shutting down, but he's getting better. He's going when I cluck to him now. And he's got that inside ear. I mean, it is on that thing. He's ready to run if he needs to. And that is scary. A big flying dragon. And that's what I worked on with him, the hour that wasn't filmed here. And all of these things I'm going through a bit quickly just to kind of show an illustration of what I would do. I would, whatever is bothering him, I would do until he's willing to just walk quietly and accept it. And he's shutting down, he's spinning and just not wanting to deal with it. But he's going to have to deal with it. It's life. He's got to put on his big boy boxers and work this through. And what I didn't show also in the film was eventually I got to the point where I just tied this bag to the inside stirrup and just kind of let him deal with it and figure it out. He was pretty good. He had a few moments when he would just, want to bolt off, like do a quick lunge forward, but I wouldn't let him. He doesn't get to run forward. Some people will just tie these on their animals and let them run and run and run and wear themselves out, but I don't want to reinforce wildness. I want to reinforce a horse that's, is thinking about this and processing, who's not reacting but responding to a situation. So all in all, he did pretty good. Again, what we do to one side, we do to the other. And we're going to switch sides. His left side, he doesn't get, as I call it, getting boogered, where he just stops and looks at me. He doesn't get as boogered on this side. But you can see that left ear. Their ears will tell you everything you need to know. He's got that left ear, that inside ear, just plastered to that bag. And, you know, he's really trying really hard. He's really thinking about this, and I appreciate that about him. Even though he has his green moments where he just stops and doesn't want to process it. And, you know, every now and then he'll have a freak out blow up moment. They're getting smaller and fewer and far in between. It's, for some reason, when I put that bag up, and it's loud. It was windy today when we filmed this, so it was super loud. But, you know, I did this, and I would keep doing this until he's just kind of quiet. And you'll find that they, you know, if they accept something at a halt, like if they would accept this being on their back at a halt, once you start walking and getting their feet moving forward, it's a whole new scary. So you have to do, you know, acclimate them at a halt first, and then do something at a walk, and then do something at a trot. And he's, even at a walk, he's kind of cocking that back leg up. So anything and everything you can find, you know, to desensitize them with, go ahead and address it. You know, make them face their fears. Make them a little bit braver, and put their big boy britches on. So all in all, he did really good. I was really proud of him.